So let me actually get myself tested in case you're wondering. I'm going to actually pick out any random sentences to give out my reaction in German. How about that? Because I'm actually very affected by this type of suggestion. The statistical German agency demonstrates for the end of April more of death cases than in the past years. Since this wave of normal cold season is already passed by. So the statisticians definitely see the connection with the coronavirus. They might have played a certain role to increase the number of cases. At the end of April, at least in Germany, somewhat more of people passed away than those on average from the past years. I mean, I already had done it. I didn't actually make a mistake. I don't want to repeat it. No, I never thought about it. It's really power, fight, and constellation go continuously in the AFD. And more than 100 deaths are from the flight crash down. I didn't make a mistake. The United States retreat opens up a concern debate over the open skies. Austria invests some more money in the public transportation. I didn't. There is no climate-friendly transportation policy. And Steinmeier truly welcomed Corona debate. And the death cases somewhat goes up in Germany. I didn't make a mistake. Oh no, I once tried it. Excuse me, what have I actually done wrong? This is really ridiculous, if you ever actually want... These statisticians at least emphasizes simultaneously, in comparison with the Europe-wide understanding, this exceptional case of the death rates, would it be less than other countries? By Germany. That means, if you ever actually put this slightly elevated death cases in Germany, by putting them right next to the Europe-wide and different neighboring countries, this would be somewhat less than other neighbors. Italy already announced 49 percentile more deaths in March 2020 in comparison with those in the past 4 years, starting from 2015 till 2019. Yeah. And also, listen, we're taking up cases from Stockholm for the calendar week starting from 14 to 16, somewhat doubled up. These numbers that were reported for the deaths starting from the calendar week 14th up until 16, those death numbers are somewhat announced to be doubled up. I mean, I'm not lying. Over these issue, Info Radio reports on it on May 22nd, 2020 at 3 p.m. 05. Data truly actually prove more of a death is new, at least life longevity lost. I don't really. Excuse me, I only actually read things once. I'm not lying. I never lied. The only reason I decided to actually take off the past in a video was I was attacked and I was saying that, oh, you actually provide additional words. That means additional words are going to be the cost for discounting. That's really the reason I removed it. I didn't actually make a mistake. Since, a wave of a cold is gone, that's really true. I said a wave of a cold is already gone. So this statisticians see, what's the wrong role kicked off in connection with the coronavirus. I said it. I'm not lying. I really actually said that what's going on is really the cold, seasonal flu. I'm not lying. The only reason I decided to delete this one is because of this sentence, although I was right, but it was a slightly nasty, and people said that, oh, you were really bad at description. That's really the reason I'm actually jumping in the middle of it, to actually demonstrate that. Yeah, because of that, this is really, at least what it is. The actually watched, a little bit of surge in deaths definitely comes together with the contextual understanding of the corona pandemic crisis. I'm not lying. This is really what it is about. Es ist deshalb naheliegend, dass die aktuelle beobachtete Leiteroberstürgeligkeit in einem Zusammenhang mit der Corona-Pandemie steht. Then that is, so far laid down and laid out. That the actually, as of now, up to date, observed and watched a little bit of a surge in deaths, a little bit of overdying, overdying. Truly comes together with the connection with the corona pandemic crisis. Corona pandemic. I mean, I never lied. Excuse me, I'm actually jumping into the middle of sentence. No, I didn't. Oh, excuse me, it's really crazy. I saw it immediately. No, that's really the thing. I can never accept it. No, I was really quick. What? Why would you actually say that? That's not true. Excuse me, I was really quick enough to actually give out an answer correctly in my first trial. I'm not lying. I was really quick. The only reason I decided to delete it is I was really afraid of being hurt. No, I was really... No, I only actually read this once. I'm not lying. I never lied. No, excuse me, why would you actually say that? I don't really understand it. I was really correct in my first trial. No, I'm not lying. Elevated cases of death is truly demonstrate the confirmed data delivered by the statisticians starting from the week of March 23rd till the March 29th. This sentence was somewhat, explained twice. That was really the reason, without changing the context or without changing the content. I only actually delivered this sentence more than twice. That was really the reason. I found this somewhat nasty, so I decided to remove the contents. But I was, in terms of content, content-wise, I was absolutely secure and clear. I didn't make a mistake. What I really said is, the actual wave of a cold is gone. I really said the grippe is a Erkältung, seasonal flu. The flu season is, at least technically gone. So this, surge, at least, hyper death. It's somewhat connected to a little bit of a light hyper death, a light, surge in death is more likely to be in context with the coronavirus. I said immediately, the contextual connection with the coronavirus is likely to be the case. That's what I really immediately said. But what I actually mentioned, that what's been gone is really the actual seasonal flu. I said it was, excuse me. Why would you actually say that? I don't really get it. I feel so awkward. No, the United States, flags are actually half a mast. That means, for Memorial Day, in connection with the, 100,000 deaths, to actually commemorate them, Pelosi had demanded Trump to take the certain commemorative gesture. This would be a symbol of a national tragedy to have almost an approximately 100,000 deaths in the United States. So Pelosi had already demanded Donald Trump to take action by signing off immediate... No. I'm not lying. I didn't. I was really afraid of it and listening to the sound coming from outside. No, excuse me. There was, a sound coming from outside. That was really the reason I was stopped. I'm not lying. I'm actually a little bit worried at this moment because, this is very late at night. My father is very much alerted to hear the sound coming from my room. That's really the reason. But Pelosi I already actually mentioned that Donald Trump was already demanded by Nancy Pelosi to at least take action in lamentation, at least, show off grievances and griefs for commemorating and grieving the deaths of Americans. That's what has been said. At least, there would be all the different flags of the United States. The stars and stripes are going to be held at half-mast. Half-mast is really this. If you have a flags, then it should actually be lowered down out of a sorrow to actually, grieve and lament and bemoan the deaths or, a tragedy nationwide. This is really the hell's mess. What else can I say? I've never actually looking into the screen again. Excuse me. If you ever actually hear this recording, there was a sound coming from living room. I'm not lying. The living room was already actually filled with a certain sound, which actually caught my attention. I'm not lying. Because, you know what, what's been so tricky about recording something in night is somebody is listening to me. And my parents are very much sensitive to the sound coming from my room. So I have to be very much, you know what, alerted to this type of reactions from outside. Or, you know, just simply say outside. That's really fine. You know, I was somebody, you know, pricking my ears to listen to what's going on outside. That was really the reason I was actually, you know what, lapping on every sound coming from them. I'm not lying. That was really the reason. I'm not lying. Because I never actually looked into the screen once more. How I already actually gave out my proper answer at once. If you ever listened to my words, you would have already actually noticed that at my first trial, I gave out every answer with no hesitation at all. But I was actually trying to, you know, give out another paraphrased version, and meanwhile, I heard a certain bemoaning sound, type of, you know, bizarre sound coming from someone else. I'm very much sensitive to someone else's sound, especially, you know, right now, it's a really, almost a yeah, we are actually heading to 1 in the morning. That's really the reason I'm very much alert. It's the 12:46, right? So I was very much worried about the actual reactions from my parents outside. So they were worried about me actually yelling. But my first version was really accurate enough. If you have a doubt about it, listen to this audio version. I really actually said that Pelosi had already actually demanded Donald Trump to say something out of respect. You know, literally take the action which would be necessitated as a president of the United States. So I was actually thinking about some proper word. No, I'm not lying. Do not actually make the sound, please. I just really don't want you to make the sound because I don't like it. I don't really want you to respond to it. I actually read everything at once. You know, right now, the United States, you know, no. I really wanted to actually say something once because, you know what, I feel so awkward. Everything was going really okay, but this type of upsetting situation is really the only reason I'm being blocked. So far, when I was really in a good mood, everything was going fine, and I had no difficulty of saying anything. And this type of upsetting situation is very enervating. That's really the reason I'm actually yelling. You cannot actually get this understanding. I was doing really okay, but you're the one who actually created unusually totally unnecessary sound, which truly actually bothered me very much. I'm very sensitive to noises. I cannot actually tolerate any type of unnecessary, unwanted, uncalled for noises. I'm extremely sensitized to actually deal with this type of, you know, harassment, acoustic harassment per se. I don't like it. I have a zero tolerance for that. So far, everything was going really okay and super fine. I was talking just like Americans. I have no difficulty. That's not my, you know, preference. I actually deliver everything correctly at once. I said it. The first thing was sentence, I'm not looking into it. No, it's turned off and I should have done it much clearer. After my first delivery, I was no longer looking into it because my face was already actually away from the phone because I was actually listening to what's coming from the door. I heard a certain sound coming from the living room. So I was very much alerted. I was very much sensitized. I was somewhat horrified to hear a sound because I was afraid of being scolded by my parents once more because of the loud noise coming from my room. That was really the reason I was trying to actually have my attention completely focused on the sound coming from the living room. That was really the reason why. So I actually, stopped for a second to actually pay attention to what's coming from the living room. That was really the reason I had a certain suspicion. Not because I had to actually look into the screen. No, that's not really the case. Excuse me, I'm not even actually looking into it. I have to have my phone down to explain this one. The United States right now almost, approximately have, 100,000 different deaths from the coronavirus. During this Memorial holiday, especially throughout the Memorial weekend, at least, to lament this greatest number of deaths, they actually, have the reflex, the stars and stripes across the nation, to be at half-mast. halvmast is exactly like the half-mast. This is really a demonstration of a lamentation and grievances and griefs and sorrow, simply to connotate a sense of a bemoaning. Because, this is very sad day for the United States. Nancy Pelosi had already suggested that there should be certain type of gesture to pay tribute to those who got lost those who got lost in coronavirus. I'm not lying. I don't really need to think about it. Excuse me. I'm being very offended if you ever actually make the sound. What I really do not appreciate is, the sound. I don't want to actually hear any sound coming from outside, especially that would harass me, because my parents are very much alert that if I ever actually make loud noise, they were being alarmed, and they were going to come back to me and say something to me, or they were going to yell at me. That's really the reason I was very much terrified when I actually hear a little sound coming from the living room. That's really the reason I had to actually suspend it. Although my first version was already given immediately. Nancy Pelosi had already demanded Donald Trump to take action. I said it immediately. It would actually take a 1 single second for me to react to it. How come you can never admit this? It was really easy. It's not really single flags. Flags throughout the nations, they were actually installed at half-mast to at least commemorate and pay tribute and respect to those fallen down in the coronavirus. Because throughout the nation, approximately 100,000 deaths are right now reported. That's really the reason Nancy Pelosi had already asked its President Donald Trump to take action or do something about this type of national tragedy. That was already said. There should have been a gesture. That was really the sentiment already demanded by Nancy Pelosi, who had asked its own president to do something. I said it really quickly. If you have a doubt about it, listen to it, how quickly I reacted to it.